fans, welcome back. I'm Zach Miller.
And I'm Peter Hale.
And this is the Midtown Madness Podcast. Before we get going, thank you all so much for listening. And if you're watching on the YouTube, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Subscribers have gone up. It's a good time to be a Billiken fan, Pete.
Yeah, it is a good time to be a Billiken fan, Zach, even when you have a rough night here and there.
Do you remember speech in like 7th grade at Catholic grade school?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I felt like now that I've added that little back and forth on the intro. It feels like we're doing I don't even remember what we used to call them, like dual, because I did monologues. I did like for mine back in the day.
Gotcha.
I went full dead at 17.
You're asking me to remember what I did academically 30 years ago, and that's that's not going to happen.
I expected more out of you. More out of that chaminade, Well, they trained you.
I didn't go there until high school, so I missed the middle school. I was still at a non-chaminade middle school. I don't remember most of that.
One of the normies.
Yeah.
Billiken fans, it's officially March, which means watching more basketball. And of course, 2 Men in the Garden salsa goes great with college basketball. You're going to have some friends over. Make sure you're stocked up. If you forget while you're at the grocery store, or you're simply an out-of-town Billiken fan, you can use our QR code at the bottom of the screen if you're on YouTube, or the link in the description below. Head over to their website, use the code MMP at checkout, and get all that salsa you need for March Madness shipped free. 2 Men in the Garden is the salsa and pickle company of St. Louis. They are the St. Louis Salsa and Pickle Company. Bring you everything from mild to screaming hot mango to sugar-free. Plus, they have pickles from classic dill to smoky barbecue. Visit them online at 2meninthegarden.com. Shop your favorite flavors and learn more about their Kitchen Hub STL. Don't forget to follow them on social media at 2Men Salsa on Instagram and Twitter for the latest updates. Pete, we had 2 really interesting games this week in that, you were at the Dayton game. You got the experience. I really kind of did the whole, I don't necessarily go to the Billiken game as part of a going out process.
Yeah.
So you kind of had your experience in and around the Dayton game. I had mine. So we got some great stuff to talk about on top of just really interesting results from the Billikens. But there's some good, there's some bad, there's some what are we doing here of the week. First of all, Pete, the Billikens remain atop the A10 despite losing to Dayton, and they're 1 win away from clinching the A10 title.
Yeah, or 1 VCU loss. So that's the magic number is 1 this week, and we'll have 2 bites of the apple, and I'd like to think 2 pretty good shots at a win, Zach.
Technically, one of those bites would be being fed the apple. Right.
That I would sure like to think so. Yes.
The bad, the losing streak at UD Arena continues. I don't even want to talk about the number.
No.
The women's basketball program is. I really don't know what's going on there. They entered the tournament on a 10-game losing streak in the pillow fight. Not good. A sharp fall from 2 and 3 years ago now. And then, Pete, what are we doing here? What is going on with the officiating in this conference?
It's funny, Zach, because I feel like we've been saying this all season, right? It's one thing for you and I. We kind of tend to be a little less analytical, a little more the voice of the fan, right? And we can get worked up about the officiating.
Yes.
So I kind of like to take the temperature of the other people who are smarter than me when it comes to what's actually happening on the floor. And it's not just us. It's fans from around the league. It's our more X's and O's minded, people that we follow on Twitter, people that we've interviewed on the show. A lot of people are just we've just run into some really bad officiating luck this season. But I think it's been poor conference wide from what I'm hearing.
I thought Gaines made an interesting point that we've never got, and it's not an interesting point. It's something I think he's kind of saying what we all really want to say in a more level-headed manner. Like, it really does feel like we don't get a home whistle. Like,
We
it
don't.
really doesn't.
We don't. And we had a Dayton fan in here last week acknowledging that they do get one.
Yes.
Just being like, we do. You got to deal with it.
And it's interesting because why? Like, I don't understand. Like I think we all have our like theories, right? The East Coast officials into the West Coast, or the Midwest. They got a long travel. I mean, are the A10 are they getting just bad refs? The bottom of the barrel, are they the underpaying? Like, I don't understand it. I have theories, and we're gonna get into it.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get into it. I think in both the Dayton game and the not so much the Dayton game, because that really was on the Billikens. We're gonna get into a lot in that. Who did we just beat? Duquesne.
Duquesne.
Yeah.
Good job.
In the Duquesne, I already wanted to put that out of my head. I'm on to the next game. I'm one game at a time. Forget what's in the past and move forward. But let's start up with that. Let's talk Billikens, man. Let's talk about the week that was in Billiken basketball. It's what we do every week. The Billikens ranking dropped this week from 23 or from 18 last week after the Rhode Island loss to 23 this week. Pete, what'd you think? Was that expected to drop that far?
Yeah, it was. The one saving grace, I think the thing that kind of kept us in the rankings is that so many other ranked teams lost, and so many teams kind of right below us lost. Like, everybody lost last week who was kind of in that 10 to 30 range. There was just a ton of losing that happened. So the fact that we dropped 5 spots is not surprising. It also happened in the coaches poll. We went from 19 to 24. As of today, in the net ratings, we're number 24. I don't think that'll move much Sunday to Monday. But no doubt, Zach, the top 25, we're done for the season, barring an NCAA tournament run. I think at this point, like, the Dayton loss is going to drop us out, and I don't see how we get back in, before the tournament, if we make a second weekend or something. And by that point, I don't know why they even still do the polls.
Let's talk about that loss at Dayton. It'll set the tone for the matchup against Duquesne on Saturday. Where to begin with a 77-62 loss at Dayton? Again, we knew it would be a sold-out UD arena with a tough crowd. Anytime the Billikens come to town, the locals have to see what the hype is about. So we knew this was going to be tough. We talked about it with Drewby. We knew we weren't going to get any benefit. Dayton UD Arena, for whatever, is a fortress of a home whistle. And Dayton is hot. And the unthinkable happened to start this game.
They had been coming into this game playing their best, I think, 3-4 game stretch of the season. I just don't think anyone could have predicted 23.8% from 3 or 40% overall from the field for SLU. They started 1 of 12 from 3 in the first half and ended up 5 of 21 for the game, Zach. And most of those first half misses were not exactly bad shots either. I don't love 2 from McCottry in the first few minutes, but they were open, right? They just were not hitting these shots. Of those 11 early misses, 6 were before the first media timeout. Avila had 2, Trey Green had 2, Amari McCottry had 2. It just felt like there was this snowball effect. Basically after SLU led 4-3, suddenly it's 11-4 and just kept getting worse. We would miss, Dayton would hit. And I have to add, kind of sitting up front at this game, Zach, because I was right behind the bench, reminded me of some of the worst games from my time at SLU, right? Because there are games where you just you're down there on the floor, you're by the team, and you sense a difference in sharpness, in energy from each team. Dayton had it on Tuesday. They just had it. SLU, on the other hand, was a step slow on everything. You could call it vibes, call it whatever you want. You could just sense early in the game they just didn't have it. And I think it was really after these early misses. It was that first media timeout stretch. They missed 6 3-pointers, and there's like a panic, right? Like there's a panic, and then they kind of like, I don't know, almost withdrew a little bit into themselves. And you could just feel it. You could see it and feel it. And it sucked.
Um, what's your thought at halftime there? You watch it, like you said, from right up close, and going into halftime. I mean, in my mind, sitting at home, what was it, 16 at half?
Yeah, it was. I think that's right. They got it
Yeah.
up to 25, which
Yes.
was shocking. I mean, like I was not prepared. Was not prepared for that at all. But I think by the time halftime
I
rolled
think it was
around,
16.
was it 16?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, from where I'm sitting, we sucked, but like you've got, the Josh Schertz,
Yeah, it was
numbers, kind
44-28. You're right. Yeah.
yeah. Talking about kind of numbers outside the expected. And then, 16 points, you look at it, okay, Billikens go on 2 10-0 runs in the second half. We're in the lead.
Yeah.
What was your perspective?
My perspective was that you just didn't feel it from them that night, right? It's kind of back to that vibe thing. Like a lot of other times, and we follow along on Twitter and Discord or next to whoever you're sitting by in the arena, and all season long, when you do have one of these bad first halves, I still have that sense of like, all right, we got them. It's another one of these. We'll be fine. And for with a couple exceptions, that has been the case, right? Because even going into halftime at Stanford, I think we were up and then like extended the lead over the course of the second half, and then it was only at the end that it kind of all came apart. So it was really just Rhode Island and Dayton, where you're down at half and things, just they didn't get any better. I guess in Dayton you could argue that they did actually get a little bit better. Rhode Island, we had a shot to tie that at the end, but I guess my point is like, this felt different. Like it was really, really bad. It wasn't just like, okay, we're down by a little bit. There's some shot variance that has kept this thing, in their favor by a little bit. I mean, like it felt like every facet of the game was going against us. And speaking of shooting variance, Dayton did their part, right? They went 7-11 from 3 when we went 1 of 12 in the first half. They did actually go completely cold in the second, but it just didn't matter, right?
They just kept putting it inside. Then they went inside.
Right. And that's when Latang really took over. So I guess what I will say is like, it just, the fact that this was happening on the road in a sold out arena, like there are other A10 gyms that aren't, we're getting everybody's best shot, but Davidson wasn't sold out. Rhode Island wasn't sold out. Like these other places we've gone, you still don't feel like it's over. Like it's overwhelming when there's 14,000 people, and their students are right there. You can hear everything they're saying.
Oh, how was that, by the way?
It was tough. I
mean, sorry to bring you back to that moment, but I've been there, and I was there as an immature, like 22, like maybe even younger, and I just was not mentally prepared for that sort of like.
Well, the crowd, I was actually I was really curious leading up to the game what it would be like, right? Because we've seen over the course of the season, like they have not been drawing quite as well. Their student section has not been full for every game, which is that never happens at Dayton. There was a recent game where they were all sitting, but I feel like the last 2 or 3 weeks, all of a sudden, they've really started playing well. And unlike a lot of other programs that like it's a slow build, Dayton, you just need to show them that you're serious, and then they show back up again, right? So I was really hoping when we came in there, they were still kind of at a low ebb, but unfortunately they peaked. They started to peak before we got there, and the crowd knew it, and we're ranked. We come in, we're ranked. They hate us. We're a rival. We're a rival VCUs. Those are the 2 big rivals. And sitting by those students, Zach, I mean, I make the rookie mistake of like looking over a couple times because like one kid in the front row had like a homemade shirt about somebody's got anger problems. I was trying to read his
Slew
shirt.
has anger problem, or the Billikens have anger problems.
Yeah,
something about the fight. Just
the fight, right?
Yeah.
So I couldn't quite make out the top of it, and I'm like staring at his shirt, and he sees me, you know, and like you make eye contact with these people, and it's all over.
Yes, you can't. No, you gotta. Can't. It's like first day in prison.
Yeah. So that was
your head down.
They can be pretty nasty, even if you're in a little section of Slew fans. It's still really rough. Yeah. So, but it was just I just did not. Like it was so when you go down 25, even when you bring it to within 16 to close it out at the half, right? So it was +9 after that low point in the game. I still felt like, man, 16 is a lot to overcome in this arena. And even if we do have one of those signature 10, 11, 12-point runs, we're going to need multiples.
What's the vibe like? And I don't want to like, you know, you don't have to go into specifics, but what's Schertz? How is he communicating kind of with the team and with the staff? Like when they're down and things are just not going anyone's way.
You know, it's funny. There was a lot less, I guess, not fun, like just interesting to observe because there is, I think, a lot less verbal communication than I expected, both between Schertz and the players and between like the players among themselves. And I don't know if this was just like everything's going poorly, we're down, everybody's in their own heads, trying to figure out how to get their shots back, how to get their rhythm back, you know, all of that kind of stuff. But it really was not. It wasn't the amount of chatter that I expected. And, you know, obviously they have their timeouts and their process there and everything. But there were a lot of stretches where guys are just kind of sitting and not really saying anything for a really long time. Schertz will come over, and it's really funny because he'll go to like one guy and like look at him and give him just like a 1 or 2 sentence thought and then go back to like his, you know, like more like the coach's box.
Yeah.
He'll just kind of pop over, you know, he doesn't like you see coaches sometimes, like a guy will come out and they'll sit there, maybe even put a hand on his shoulder and like really kind of dig into something for a little bit. He'll just come over and give like 1 or 2 lines, go right back. He's got a unique style, but you know, at the same time, he's a good, effective, concise communicator, as people can hear. Like right now, I'm not, but like in those post game comments, he's always like he always has just the right word combinations to describe something, and he's a really good speaker that way. So he can come over and tell you something, and it makes sense right away. But he is not the most like rah guy. You know, like as much as like he just joked recently, I must give the worst pregame speeches and the best halftime speeches in the game. He's not the most like, you know, we're down and out, how do I fire these guys up? I didn't really see.
He's not a motivator.
Well, I mean,
well, he's not a rah motivator. Like Travis Ford was kind of that.
That's
he was.
There's a difference in energy for sure. But like we've seen like those cinematic recaps, you get like glimpses of him saying again just the right thing to a group of players before a game, during halftime, after a game, whatever. And he always has like really great things to say, but he's not necessarily the one who's like can snap a guy out of it. You know what I mean? And that was a factor in this game. I felt like nobody could snap out of whatever this funk was.
Well, so the second, Dayton's lead obviously got up to 25. The Billikens got it within 11 twice in that second half. Both times were under 4 minutes left. It really did feel at certain points that the Billikens could make a run at this. They just either something would go wrong, or you know, a turnover, or a call would go the wrong way. Yep. The Billikens did, you know, it was 10 minutes left. They worked it, as we mentioned. But was there a difference in the communication in that last like 7 minutes of play? Was there a difference on the bench versus
Yes.
that first half, and what
Absolutely.
was different?
There absolutely was. And this is where I'll like contradict everything that I've said so far is like this was the time of the game where you could kind of feel the vibe shift on the bench, right? Like we're eating away at that lead. And like you said, it was 19 with about 10 minutes left. And they're just it was slow. They're shaving off a point or two a minute, right? But it's getting closer and closer. And that first time they hit 11, was right. I think it was like coming out of or just going into, I think it was going into the under four media timeout, and we came back, and then Kellen Thames missed a front end, right? The second time they got to within 11, just a couple possessions later, Quentin Jones turned it over, and then both times Slew fouled at the other end, and UD made free throws. So ultimately, it's too little, it's too late, and when you miss an opportunity and then foul, it's like the ultimate momentum killer, right? Because like we put them on the line a ton. And that sucked because I felt like there were just a few minutes there, a few minutes where like the guys are on their feet, like you could see a little more, okay, there's an elbow, there's a shoulder pat, like, okay, like here we go, here's our run. And it's a thing that Schertz has mentioned, like they'll feel out the tempo of a game and all that kind of stuff, and they get out to these slow starts before they decide to turn it on. And you kind of felt like, guys, I mean, down 11 with 3:49 to go is not when you're supposed to turn it on, right? Like it's got to come a lot sooner than this. But that's the first time I really saw a sign of life. And then just as soon, all of a sudden, it's like, 2.5 minutes and they're down 15. Like a couple plays have swung the other way and they missed their shot.
Yeah. One of the more frustrating points of this game was earlier in the game where I felt the Billikens got, kind of hamstrung by the officials, and it didn't matter in the grand scheme of thing. Obviously, the Billikens got their ass kicked, and that nothing was going to change that. But there's one play at the other end where the ball goes off of. They call it out on Dayton. They give it to Slew. It really went out off Slew. Dayton doesn't challenge it. You go down to the other end, and you have a very similar scenario, but in reverse, where the ball is given to the Billikens, or it's given to Dayton. It's clearly out off Dayton. Slew goes to challenge it. And I mean, the video evidence was pretty damn clear to me that it goes out off Dayton, and they don't change it. Look, if we're going to have replay, we have to eliminate the idea of the rebound, player goes up to grab it, gets his hand hit, the ball goes out of bounds. It really went off the guy that got fouled, but they didn't call the foul because they didn't want to call the foul. And so, like, we've got to get back. You have to call it by the letter of the law, or get rid of replay again.
Yeah.
Like, you can't. If Dayton had a chance to challenge it and they didn't. So down at the other end, you don't get to make up that call on a Billiken challenge.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, I just had to get that out before we get on to how Dayton beat the shit out of us. It was mostly the French eraser head, Emile Latang, who went for 26 and 10, 12 of his points at the free throw line on 15 attempts. UD Arena, everybody. No, yeah. I'm being facetious in that point, but I mean, come on. Free throw merchants.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. He was content to do it, but I mean, Slew did a really good job of neutralizing him in the first game, but this time he was really taking advantage of our switching and exploiting those mismatches, right? Like we switch, we go under, you wind up with a guy who's 7'1" on a guy who might be 6'6" or shorter, right? And sometimes shorter. Sometimes he's doing it against like Dion Brown or somebody like that, where it's just like, okay, he's going to sort of back down a little bit here, and eventually he's going to turn, go over his shoulder, and we're just going to either foul or he's going to have kind of a pretty good look, or a passing opportunity. So it was like no matter what we did, he wound up in a favorable situation and just kept exploiting it again and again and again. 15 free throw attempts really bothered me. Some of them were pretty soft. Like after he got like the first few, I felt like they were just giving it to him, right? Like they like
anticipatory.
It wasn't completely anticipatory, but it was it was just sort of like, okay, he's earned it. Like he's got the benefit of the doubt at this point. He's got the mismatch. He's got a good a good read on this. And so anyway, it just kept happening over and over. It was super frustrating. And I guess credit to him because he really was not a big factor in the first game at all.
Another guy who the Billikens keyed in on was Javon Bennett in that first game. This game, again, different story.
Yeah, 17. I think Schertz said he was he was like 7 for 8. Wait, what was it? Oh no, sorry. On the defensive end. On the defensive end, when we wound up in the post against Javon Bennett, who's a really short player, we went like 1 of 7 or 1 of 8. Like so, for whatever whatever reason, we would wind up with mismatches on him and couldn't convert. So it wasn't just missed threes in the first half. It was like missed layups and some short shots throughout the game. Took mid-range shots, like it was just a really frustrating game. But like when you wind up on a guy like Javon Bennett, you got to be 7 for 8 up close, not 1 for 8. It's crazy. So he wound up being really effective at both ends.
Anyone who's played Golden Tee knows that for shorter shots, swing softer. Jordan Durkak. God, I don't like that. I knew I wasn't gonna like this guy.
Yeah, he's that guy, right? Yeah,
This is the guy that like motivated by revenge. Like, bro,
they wrote an article, and it wasn't our guy Jablonski, but it was another guy in the Dayton Daily News the next day who wrote an article about how he wanted revenge. Like he went to St. Louis. It was terrible, so he wanted revenge in this game. And he had 14 points on 5 of 10 shooting. Normally, he's a free throw merchant, right? We've used the phrase a couple times already, and that's what he does. But he had that technical foul for hanging on the rim after that dunk, and just said his adrenaline was so high in this game. And you could see it in Latang. You could see it in all of these guys. Like after they'd make big plays, they would like scream over at the students. They were feeding off of each other. Our guys are hanging their heads. Like they looked, like a deer in the headlights sometime.
I mean, Jordan Durkak's kind of a lumbering player. He looked like he was walking on air in this game.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, like I wonder, but it's hard to play ranked as a ranked team.
Yeah,
like it really is.
Oh yeah.
Again, I think I don't know. I don't know, man.
You're right. I mean, like it felt different. They were out for blood, right? Like I've gone to that arena every single year. I think just missed the one COVID year. Since gosh, when's the last time I've missed a game in UD Arena? Like 2010, 2011, maybe I didn't get to one. Something like it's crazy. It's not since I lived in St. Louis or Chicago that I actually have missed game. Like I've seen, of all the games we've played here this century, I've only missed a few of them.
Was this both the best and the worst experience?
That's sitting right there. I mean, hey, I was on the bench as a manager there when we
was it nostalgic? Was it a little nostalgic?
I mean, same spot. I just didn't run into the tunnel with them, and but it was New Year's Eve, and we won that game. It was my what was that, junior year maybe? So we've I guess we've come a long way, but at the same time, like just haven't won there much since then. But Zach, we wasted a career scoring night from Kellen Thames. He finished with 24 points, 7 rebounds, 27 minutes, 2 assists, 2 fouls. He went 9 of 14. He even hit a 3-pointer, and he was 5 of 7 from the free throw line, which I would take from him anytime.
Every day and twice on Sundays. You said before the game we needed good Kellen and good Amari. We got one of those two.
Yeah.
And the thing about that is like we needed we needed him to just be in that game. And that's what sucks. I think as much as Dayton shot us out of the game, I think we also shot ourselves out of the game. Like I think it was very much a joint accomplishment. I talked about it on Twitter ahead of the Duquesne game, and I really would have liked to see us, when we do have these slow starts, really pound the ball in the paint,
Yeah.
really try to draw some fouls, get Robbie going to the rim. Because I thought, manufacture some buckets. If the threes aren't coming, get it to Robbie, isolate, and because Dayton was just all over our 3-point shooters, like,
Yeah.
all right, let's try to see if they'll hedge or if they're gonna let Robbie play 1v1.
Right.
Let's make them make a decision. And we didn't do that in this game. McCottry had a rough week starting in this game. He had 6 points and 4 fouls in 22 minutes. He's really kind of become a question mark.
Schertz said that Thames and McCottry are probably McCottry being the starter, are the two most important guys in terms of driving winning for us, right? Like you can have Trey Green be off or Brady Dunlap be off or Ishan Sharma be off and like other guys make up for it. Even when Robbie Avila is not really producing a lot offensively, he's still out there working the system and other guys are getting their shots. But McCottry and Thames are the two where as they go, so we go as a team. And so I started thinking about that a lot more after Schertz said it like a week or two ago. And it really is true, like those are the guys who they're not like spot shooters. They're more integral two-way
They're
players.
dynamic.
They're more dynamic. They're the kind of guys that you can create mismatches with at one end and then give them a lot of different defensive assignments at the other end, guard multiple positions. So you can't have them just being off that bad. And as good as Thames was, McCottry was that bad. Just a complete shell of himself in this game. And like you said, he wound up having a rough game after it too.
McCottry, you mentioned, they're two-way players. They need to, do it. And McCottry's done well on neither side of the ball, frankly.
Yeah.
So
Lately,
lately
we know what he's capable of.
He has certainly regressed. Deion Brown had a good game, 15.7 rebounds. He had 3 fouls and 3 turnovers. He brings the intangibles. 15 points is phenomenal from him. Avila had 10 points again. Needed a little more, I think. Just give it to Avila and get out of his way.
Yeah, I agree with that, especially the way that they were. We'll talk about this in a second. The way that they were guarding our 3-point shooters, but I do really wonder how different this game is if we don't go 0 for 6 in the first media timeout from 3. If we hit 2 or 3 of those, Avila hits one, Green hits one. I think it's a different ball game. I know I'm not the only person to have made that point this week. I think a lot of people think that. But I do wonder with Avila, had he hit those first couple, does that just kind of change the way he's guarded for the game? Does that change the way he feels and like shooting in that gym? We just needed a lot more of him. But unfortunately, Zach, Green was just a ghost in this game. Ishan Sharma was a ghost. Dayton clearly executed their game plan on these two, like really on every 3-point shooter. Dunlap too. They heavily contested everything, chased these guys out past the 3-point line. It was really, really aggressive to take our shooters out of it.
It was a ghost ship.
Yes.
Because Paulo Tieno also nowhere to be found in this one.
Yeah.
Jones was not very good at all. He was kind of a mess. Brady Dunlap, the moment felt a little too big.
Yeah.
Not ready for prime time player. At least in this one, right? The Billikens were 1 of 8 on mid-range jumpers. And before you tell me I'm a fool, I would just like to clarify that like I'm not a mid-range jumper stan. Like I'm not like I don't whatever. Just go on with it.
No, I know what you're saying, right? Because you said last week you want to see us add like another dimension,
If
to the
I just want to, I not another dimension. I just want to know when is it a mathematically good proposition to pull up for the mid range? Because like, I mean, there are open mid range shots, but like, I don't think the type of mid range shots that the Billikens are gonna get are the ones like when it's a set mid range shot, right? Like there's like mid range from the elbow open that you saw Duquesne knock down a couple.
Yeah.
And there's also like driving to the hoop and getting cut off, and all you have is a turnaround jumper. Like those are two very different difficulty levels of difficulty in shot. And if we win, it's not a problem. I have no problems when we win.
Yeah. So sorry.
No, it's all right. Go on.
Yeah, the issue here is I think four of them, if memory serves, were relatively early in the shot clock. So if you're shooting these under 5 in the shot clock, I think Schertz will forgive them. But they were kind of forcing them, and like kind of seeing some of these from up close. What you realize is like these guys, they don't they're so not used to shooting mid-range jumpers that there's nothing natural about it, right? It's like when Shaq shoots a 3-pointer in an all-star game. It's like I'm all alone. Everybody's going to leave me all alone. There's no rhythm to it. I'm just going to throw it up there and see what happens. Here, it's a guy like getting caught in no man's land, between where they want to shoot out on the perimeter or up at the basket, and they're caught and they don't see options. And so it feels like the mid-range jumper just happens just because they're open and don't see another easy option at that point. And in which case, I think like Dayton's or whoever we're playing, their defense has succeeded in baiting us into something that we're not comfortable with. And you can see the players taking the shots. They just, you never see them shoot a mid-range jumper that looks natural. It's always a little bit forced.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think like if that was part of our game and it's, smooth Javante Perkins just shooting mid-range J's,
or Tommy Liddell
off that jab step, or Tommy Liddell off a jab step or something, totally different. But when it's like our guys going like, oh, option A failed, option B failed, I don't see anybody open, boom, it's just it never looks right.
4 second chance points for the Bills, 4 fast break points, 6 points off turnovers. There's been talk about the physicality. And before you get into it, I think a lot of the Dayton replies were, again, it's a thing where people online have two very different conversations.
Yes.
We're talking about the illegal physicality,
correct,
the grabbing, the holding, the clutching, the moving screens. Like, it's not just like, a hard box out or I don't know, other, bodying someone up on the post defense, right?
That's
it's
right.
Legitimately off the ball, clutching and grabbing. We saw it all the time with Jimerson, and we saw it a lot in this game. And, when you have an arena like UD with the whistle you get, you can toe the line, much like the old VCU teams of old.
So I like the way you frame that, because when I first wrote this up, like I had seen people mention like, oh, we can't deal with their physicality, can't deal with physicality. That's been true in most of the games where we have not played well lately. That's been true. Teams have like kind of gotten the book on us, especially after that first Duquesne game. And it's like, oh, this is what you got to do. You got to bully them at both ends. And the difference was Duquesne will like throw elbows, throw shoulders, like really body guys, like you were saying. This was not that at all, because like when I first put this in the notes, like sitting up close in this game, I didn't feel like they were very physical at all. Like that just wasn't the tenor of this game. They play a lot more controlled game. They play a lot more deliberate game. They play a little bit more finesse game. The physicality is, like you said, is all of that illegal stuff. And it was really interesting, Zach, because like the defensive strategy, you felt like they were just straight up holding guys. Wes Pine Jr. on Billikens.com actually did a full breakdown of what they were doing defensively. I don't know why his posts are all in bold font. I don't get that. But he shared all these like PDF screenshots, and then Matt Rocchio later did a video breakdown on Twitter that was like 2.5 minutes long, with Schertz's comments kind of providing a little bit of a commentary track. But what you're seeing is, like West Pine Jr. said, like it comes down to them putting two hands on our primary shooter no matter the circumstances, right? So it's not a foul if they're standing still. If you've just got your arms, just kind of keeping a guy in check. But once they start moving, it becomes a foul if they keep two hands on them. And refs were not calling it once they did move, right? So you've got guys going out, putting two hands on their assignment, and then he cuts or comes off a screen or whatever, and guys are just keeping their hands on him, keeping their arms around him. The refs did tighten it up in the second half, and that's when SLU actually started shrinking the margin. But it was kind of like too little too late in that, right? And like you said, Jimerson, we saw this in UD Arena every year of his career. Like I would be in the 400s, and you can see Jimerson's shirt getting tugged 2 feet off of his body, and refs not calling it. It's just what happens there. But I do think you're right in that, like, people can take offense to the fact like they're just like, Dayton's not a physical team, and it's true, they're not. It's just what they were doing in this game was physical contact with their arms to get in the way of everything our shooters were trying to do, and the refs were happy to just let them do it.
I'm trying to find that post. It's on Billikens.com.
It is. I think it's.
I thought it was on Twitter.
No, it was on Billikens.com. I think it was on Bills over Dayton by 4. I want to say it was in that thread. I'm seeing if I can. Yeah, here. I can send you a link. Now.
Yeah. Don't worry about it now. But Dayton fans kind of took issue
Yes.
to this, and it like, I just again think we're having a different conversation.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's all it is. Because they're just like, we don't have a physical team. We don't play physical. And I'm saying, like, up close, no, they really don't. It was just the holding, the grabbing.
Yeah, and I think that's just going to be how it's. I think that's part of the slow starts. Is that that's what's going to happen. They're going to do it until they get called.
That's right.
And if they get called early, then you're going to see things change. Now, please just dump the ball into Robbie to start the game on Wednesday. Please. That's all I'm saying. Just let him work on Miles Rubin.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this game on Saturday, Pete. Let's talk about this 91-76 win on Saturday the 28th against Duquesne. Pete, another a less than stellar start.
I don't know how it keeps happening, Zach, because if I'm one of those guys coming back from Dayton, just played our worst game of the year, kind of a really tough, borderline humiliating loss, I have enough pride that I am going to come out and like not let that happen to me again. And I don't know. I can't explain it. I just can't explain it. They just don't have it at the beginning of games.
We're going to talk a lot about Amari McCottry in this one, and it's probably going to be unpleasant. We're going to talk about the officials in this one, and it's certainly not going to be pleasant. But the Billikens found themselves in a 20-8 hole, and they trailed 41-39 at halftime. Just I don't know. Take it from here, I guess. I just said what the fuck, man. That's all I had after about 10 minutes of play.
Yeah. No, I knew you were frustrated. I saw your tweets during the game, and I could
apparently others heard my frustration.
I'm surprised I didn't hear it on the broadcast. So
I wasn't behind the bench like you.
That's true. You're far enough away. So SLU got into a 20-8 hole, like you said. But I thought Taj on Billikens.com actually made a really good point. Because I hadn't thought of it in these terms. But if you take that start out, after that run, SLU goes 83-56, right? Like the rest of the game is a 27-point blowout. And so it just goes to show you, like these starts are so important. If we're up after the first 5 minutes or even tied, this just gradually would have become a blowout instead of just being a game that looked like we had to come back and win, which is what it was for the whole first half into the, opening minutes of the second half. It completely changes how you look at the game. I think Schertz said we were fine for the last 35 minutes, but the first 5 minutes were such a problem, that it really kind of ruined everything else. So I thought that was really interesting, and a lot of it, Zach, came down to Duquesne's hot shooting, right? Like right from the start.
Yeah, it was Terrence Ginyard, who, by the way, is not getting a Christmas card from me ever. I don't like this guy. He hit his first 3-point attempts. Jimmy Williams was equally hot. They had a combined 23 at halftime, even after coming down to earth a little bit. But Terrence Ginyard is the type of asshole that is like, after he makes 3 free throw shots, after he made each one of them, he like made facial expressions to the crowd. I don't know if he was like blowing kisses or what he was doing.
Yeah,
but he was playing to the crowd quite a bit.
I mean, look, there's 2 things you can do in front of a sold out crowd, right? You can go into a sold out arena and let it get to you and just completely wither, as we saw in UD Arena, or you can go into a sold out arena, make a few shots, and like let them know you're not bothering me. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm going to do my thing no matter what. But I think they call this shot variance, Zach, when a team hits their first, 4 3-point attempts and 5 of their first 6 or whatever it was, right?
Look, I feel like Duquesne was just able to take their time when they would get the ball in shooting position. They were comfortably shooting the ball. I just didn't think the intensity was there. The communication again wasn't there. We're going to get to Amari McCottry. He didn't look great in that first 5 minutes or whatever, 3 minutes until he got yoinked. However, there was there was a highlight in that first half. That was I almost said Reggie Dunlap. That's Brady Dunlap's half-court 3-pointer, and I'm going to call it a 3-pointer and not a heave because it didn't have that visual. It really was like he was nearly straight up and down.
Almost, yeah.
I can't even fathom.
Leaned into it a little bit, but it's hard to say because he has such a kind of slingshot style on his threes already.
Very Curry-ish from deep.
So it's hard to say that he really put much more push into it than he normally does. But yeah, it was about 40 feet out, and he pretty much shot it like a normal one.
You were not happy with the foul situation at halftime, Pete.
Not at all. Fouls were 9-6. Obviously with more on the home team, which makes total sense. Bad whistles, Zach, late whistles.
I thought so.
The late whistles were crazy because there were some calls that were either 50-50 calls or kind of lighter fouls, and we were going back the other way before they decided to blow the whistle, and that was driving me crazy. Again, not just the 2 of us noticing, but Zach, we also got some confusion on reviews as well, right?
Well, first of all, you tell me, because I like to think that I can see the play as well as anybody else in the arena. I am usually correct on reviews. Just saying. Somebody should hire me as a review coordinator. But I swear to God, that challenge on Slew was another horrendous decision. But
by Slew or by the ref?
No, I thought it was clearly going to be our ball. I was ready to
so this was an out of bounds call that happened right in front of the bench.
Yes.
Right in front of the bench. And it was Ginyard and Trey Green, right? Or I'm trying to remember who it was.
Was it Brady? It was either Brady or Green.
So the ball goes out right in front of Slew's bench. It doesn't take I think it was a media timeout. Slew challenges the call because they say out on Slew, and based on the fact that it happened right there, the way everybody reacted, you kind of thought okay, this is coming back the other way. But what we didn't have was the easy, obvious camera angle, right? Like on the broadcast, and then they had a replay from the baseline. So it was kind of like a 45-degree angle toward the bench. And it sure looked like it went off of Ginyard out of bounds.
Which it did.
which I'm 99% confident it did, but I just don't think they had it was one of those angles where they just did not have a camera with a replay available that made it,
Interesting.
convincing enough. And
Got
so
it.
I think it was just an unlucky, like literally just an unlucky angle where like all they needed was the right camera in the right place and it would have been called, but they just didn't have that.
So we're blaming the Billiken Athletic Department.
Not
Okay.
or
Got it. No. That's it. That's it. Done. They're to blame.
um,
Jesus.
like I need to put fuel
Nope.
on that fire for you.
Yeah, no. Throw some gasoline on it.
Yeah.
Schertz did change up his subbing pattern. He brought in Thames and Otieno in much earlier. I believe that was for McCottry and who did he take out at that point? Green?
Yes, McCottry and Green.
Yes.
Yeah. It was the defense, right? Like,
Right.
so he put both of them in before the first media timeout. Normally, he will bring his starters back on after the first media timeout and let them play a few possessions. So we're looking at 5-6 minutes before those, the first four subs come in, and then he'll leave one starter on. This time, subbing those two early was definitely. I mean, as much as people have said, change something up, he did. He changed it up. That was a little bit different.
That second half, he started McCottry over Otieno, which is
vice versa.
Oh,
Vice
sorry.
versa.
He started in Otieno over McCottry. And that's a huge difference. That's a huge change. I talked about it in the Dayton review. I'm going to say it again. McCottry's defense has just not been good enough.
Yeah.
I laid out the theory that McCottry's just a bit spacey or loses focus. And I didn't see anything in this game or that Dayton game to kind of make me think otherwise. And I think it really is problematic for our defense because I do think we have a great defense, but it is that whole is greater than the sum of the parts. The team has to be connected at all times. There has to be communication. There has to be focus, especially at the start of games. And I just don't see that from McCottry. Without McCottry in the second half, I thought the defensive intensity was much better, Pete.
Oh yeah, absolutely. SLU started with a 15-4 run, to take the lead and kind of I don't want to say commanded it from there, but they held on to it the rest of the game, no matter how close it got. So I think it was the right call. Like the defensive intensity was much better. There were times in the second half where they would get a little bit closer, and you're kind of like, okay, McCottry's defense does feel like the missing piece, but if he just didn't have it, he just didn't have it, and that's the call Schertz made, Zach.
And we're here to win basketball games at this point. Like this isn't Majerus's first year at George Washington.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different era, and we'll talk more about it later. Avila had a fantastic second half. Again, Pete, I'm just going to go ahead and jump out and take credit for this. He had 2 points in the first half, 15 straight for the Billikens in the second over about a 4 to 5 minute stretch.
Yeah.
He really was fantastic.
He was, and we'll get back to him because over the course of the second half, they just couldn't put Duquesne away, right? Second chance points, fouls, turnovers, missing shots, layups. They let them hang around till the last few minutes, and then they ended on a 15-2 run, which included a 12-0 kill shot, mostly led by Trey Green. I think he scored the first 8. So the score looked better for us than it was. But back to Avila, Zach. 2 points in the first half. He has 23 for the game. So huge second half. 5 of 7 shooting from 3, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, a block, a turnover, 4 fouls. He was plus 17 in 31 minutes, which was second best on the team. He was really, really good in this game.
Yeah, vintage Avila. This is the Avila that we saw last year at the best of times.
Yeah.
He only shot 2 free throws. He was called for 4 fouls.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't. I thought he got hacked quite a bit. I think he takes a lot of physicality, and fouls. Like he got fouled twice on one play. They called the second one. It's just, you know, I don't know.
It's the combination of how he's guarded, right? Like there are so
Yes.
many times where he's going for layups and gets like just the classic never miss easy call
Yeah.
across the arm foul that they don't call. Like they'll call it out of bounds on him sometimes. And then on the other end, he had 4 fouls for a game that like he defended really well, just straight up. Like they're like if an offensive player initiates contact on a defender who's straight up and he misses the shot, it's just not a foul. It's just not a call. And I don't he got called for at least 3 of those, and I don't get it. I don't get it.
Um, that 21 points in the second half came when, for whatever reason, Duquesne decided to go zone, and he kind of came alive. He got lost in transition.
Yep.
Call him Trill Murray.
That's great. I appreciate that, Zach.
You're welcome.
They completely did lose him in transition, which is, by the way, a funny thing to say about him, even without your lost in translation joke, because he's one of those guys, like, how do you lose him? He's 6'10", he's wearing goggles, and he's the slowest guy on the court. But they switched to that zone, and they got a couple turnovers out of that zone, right? There were 2 possessions in a row where SLU just didn't see the defense, right? Like they're looking to their cross court target and just threw it right into a defender's arm 2 times in a row, once in the half court, once in transition. But both times
James and Green, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. But otherwise, Robbie just carved it up. We don't win the game without him. This was his 100th win at the college level, by the way. So he was just so good. But Zach, we also don't win without the other big man, Otieno. He was fantastic on Duquesne's bigs in this game.
Yeah, but first I do want to close on Avila saying that he has to be the focal point of the offense, in my opinion, to start games. Like I just think that the way teams are hounding our 3-point shooters, get them spread out the floor, let Avila go one-on-one, and let's see if they're going to bring help defense or not. Get Amari as far away from him as you can, get Thames out of make sure their guy isn't going to be the one that's helping, and get the ball to Avila, let him work. If they help down, get it to one of our 3-point shooters, and see what happens.
And for God's sakes, cut. I've seen so much less cutting in this offense than I expected this season.
Movement.
Yeah.
Otieno was fantastic after having a tough game at Dayton. He was plus 24 in just 19 minutes, 13 points and 3 rebounds, shot 4 of 5 from the field. And more importantly, Pete, his performance at the free throw line.
Can't put him on the line. No, he was too good. 5 of 5, perfect from the free throw line. Had a big block, had a good steal in this game too. He was just excellent. Schertz raved about him in the post game. He played, I think, 29 minutes, which is 19 minutes. But again, like you said, let us in plus minus. He was just great. All 19 of his minutes, not a wasted one in there.
Jones, very good game. I absolutely love what Jones brought in this game. We talked about Otieno at the line. I thought Jones was just as big. He got to the line 10 times, or he took 10 shots at the line, made 9 of them. I thought that was huge in manufacturing scoring when we were struggling. Yeah. And that's eventually what ended up sending Duquesne into the zone.
Yeah, and it was a total ref show in the second half, right? Like it was 9-6 in fouls in the first half, so 15 total. We were at 15 fouls about 10 minutes into the second half, and I know we were at 9-9, 18 at like the under 12 media timeout around there. So like the important thing for SLU is if you're going to go to the free throw line, make it Otieno, make it Avila, make it Jones. You don't want it to be Thames and McCottry. Those are the guys who wind up at the line so much for us. And so these guys have to, they recognize, don't shy away from contact, go in, play the foul. Duquesne, it's been a thing for them all year long. We said it leading up to the game. they get in foul trouble. Not their guards, but their bigs. Every single one of their bigs is good for 4 fouls a game, if you just play them straight up. And so they were really smart to attack those guys. But yeah, 17 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, as always, leading us in blocks. 0 turnovers is one of the key stats here too. 2 of 5 from 3, 9 of 10 from the line, like you said. Played a team high 33 minutes. Very, very good performance for Quentin Jones. Good bounce back game because, man, was he bad at Dayton. I could up close at Dayton. He looked really bad.
I hope this game ends up being a turning point for Trey Green. He had 14 points. He went 3 of 5 from outside, perfect 3 of 3 of the line, and 4 assists.
Yeah. He scored the first 8 points of that kill shot that ultimately put the game away. Duquesne was just too close that whole second half. It was like a 2-3 possession game. I think they got it down to what? Did they get to within 3 at one point or something like that? But this was the one, Zach, that put him away. He hit 2 threes in that stretch, 8 points. He was instrumental in closing it out.
Sharma and Dunlap both went 2 of 3 from 3 for 6 points. I do have to mention that my girlfriend, who had never heard the term alley-oop before today, the only time I'm not kidding you, before the game,
Yeah.
she had never heard that term. I had to explain that when Kellen Thames, it was like semi-pro. Yeah. But the one time where she was like wowed was Dunlap's 3-pointer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
she recognized how special that was.
Yeah. Game recognized game.
He did it in front of his dad too. His dad,
yes.
That was at the game. Yeah.
Brown, Brown was Brown.
Yeah, 2 of 3 from 3. He only takes him when he's open. So I love that he, I always say, like, with him, you want him to go 1 of 2, right? Like, take 2 good shots, make one of them. 2 of 3 is great. He finished with 8, not his normal usual inside production load, but that's fine. 4 rebounds, 2 turnovers, and then you get 4 fouls out of him because, of course you do. Yeah. He's Deion Brown.
Thames, he was very good in this, but the numbers aren't going to say it.
Yeah, he came in earlier than usual, as we said. I think we expected a little bit more production coming off that Dayton performance. So you get 4 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and unfortunately a team high 3 turnovers, but 2 of those were on consecutive play. And then he also missed the 2 free throws when Ginyard gave him that bear hug instead of letting him make a layup or just trying to defend the layup. Yeah, I know you remember that play where he basically just tackled him. So yeah, Thames was good. But definitely there were some plays he'd definitely like to have back in this game.
One player that I'm sure will like to have his 6 minutes back is Amari McCottry. He had 2 shifts early in the first half, and that was it. Schertz sat him the rest of the game. Pete, Schertz said he didn't have the defensive intensity required and wasn't handling physicality. I laid out a theory that he just loses focus and is spacey. I just thought he didn't look into the game. It felt like he didn't really care to communicate or fight through screens. It was just rough.
Yeah, he didn't have it, and nobody knows better than Schertz. So got to trust his judgment on this one. But he did add that it has no bearing on the Loyola game. He's not like quote unquote in the doghouse or anything like that. It was just, not your game. Right? Like he said, I gave him 2 shifts. He wasn't great. I had to pull him.
I really hope that this isn't a buy-in issue. And if it is, I really hope that McCottry can find his buy-in again.
Yeah.
And get back, because he really is one of the better players on this team when he's at his best. And he is the catalyst that can help us get to that, an Elite 8.
We said it earlier, but he's the one who's going to drive our outcomes, more than anybody else. Deion Brown, when he read the lineups for that one, what game, which broadcast was that? But Deion Brown was our guy who read the opening lineups and called him the franchise. And there's a reason for that. Like, these guys recognize he's a super talented sophomore. People forget He's a sophomore. Yeah, you hope it's not a longer term thing and that he just had a bad week. But Zach, were you surprised by this tactic?
Like I think it was clear that the Billikens were not going to get enough stops to win the game with McCottry
Yeah.
playing. It felt necessary. I don't know if I wasn't surprised because I think Schertz is, um, he's. I think if the Billikens had still been, if this hadn't been a trend, I wouldn't have been surprised, or I would have been surprised if it had not like
Yeah.
been building. But really, I think it had to happen.
Yeah. So
Now,
it did surprise me just because we've seen him stick with McCottry so many other times when people were like, get him out of the game. Think about VCU on the road when we had squandered that lead and McCottry had some bad plays.
mhm.
And then all he did was go down and hit the three that ultimately led to that game winning kill shot. So there have been other times throughout the season where he has stuck with his guy and it's worked. Other times where he's stuck with him to just like you feel like try and get him into his good form, and it just hasn't happened in a game. But either way, I think I was a little more surprised by it than you. But do you think this is a message to the entire team and not Amari? Like kind of like, hey guys, we're trying to win games here.
Yeah, well, I wonder if it was verbalized that I wonder if like it was clear that Amari was not going to play.
Mm,
Like because I mean maybe you go in that second half. He has moved down beyond anybody in warm up or that's still sitting in their shooter shirt.
yeah,
Um, so I don't know if he makes it clear that Amari's going to sit the rest of the game to the entire team. Maybe it is a message to the entire team, but like if it's just Amari didn't play, I think it's just a message to Amari because it seems like everybody else kind of understands the assignment as far as intensity and buy-in.
yeah. Do you like this strategy?
So obviously, I don't know what McCottry's personality is, what drives him. The old Jim Craig test from Herb Brooks back in the Miracle on Ice, that sort of thing. I thought it was the right move in this game, as of course did the old people sitting around me
Yeah,
but they've been shouting it for a while now, at least since game 3 of the
sure.
year. But like I've said this in different ways, but this team's defensive identity is built on everyone buying in and everyone staying connected. And McCottry looked completely disconnected from the game.
Yeah,
I don't know. I could be wrong, but I don't think he tried to drive to the hoop in this game. He might have, but it didn't look like he had any intention. Like you look at the 2 3-pointers he took, and I'd really like to see him just post up. Post up if they're going to sag off of him. Like just like Robbie, I'd like to see to get Amari posting up a guard. He's taller than him. He can get those passes over him. If they come down to help, there's somebody open. And he's a gifted passer. He's a point
yeah,
guard. So I mean, try to shrink the game for McCottry. Get him some touches, down low in the post. I don't know. But I just don't think taking that shot is being like twice, is being connected to the game and focused on the game. So,
yeah.
yeah, I like it. They won.
It worked. It worked, right?
Right. And there's also the, talk about they won when asking if I like the move. The throwing the ball in the backcourt, we've gone back to the Jim Cruz inbound, where, the other teams play in zone from what I understand. And, it's easier to just toss the ball over them, right?
Yeah,
If you win, that strategy is good. And I like it. If you lose, I don't like that strategy as a fan, right?
sure.
That's going to be something I'm going to talk about. So, hey, it was the right button to push in this specific moment. Will it be the right button to push going forward? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Very interesting to watch how this develops. That's for sure. We said to a key to this game was shutting down Williams and Ginyard. We already talked about how they failed in the first half. Did it get better in the second half, Zach? Not really, right? They combined for 43 points for the game. It was 23 after halftime, so more of the same. Williams had 16, but this was Ginyard's game. Exploded for 27. Basically flipped their output from the last meeting. I think Williams had 29 and Ginyard had 14. So they just took turns, who was going to be the hot hand, really. David Dixon was very good with 12 and 6. He had some momentum killing dunks. That guy, for being a big guy, having a really big frame, he is a big time dunker. And, you typically get the most exciting dunks out of your wings. But he is a really fun dunker. I got to say, as much as I hated the ones he had here, he's really good at it. No one else here really produced much. As we said, if you shut down those two guards, nobody else on their team scores.
Yeah.
It's just how it is.
Well, part of stopping them in that second half was double teaming the bigs whenever they got the ball and trying to cut off their ability to pass it to anybody. So, I mean, I thought that was a really, really well done.
Which I don't mind as long as the guy helping is not the guy guarding Williams or Ginyard, right? Like there were times where somebody guarding one of those two would come in and double the big, and it's like no, let Nate Chas or Dixon beat you. Don't let Williams or Ginyard shoot a three, right? So as long as it's off one of the other players, let the other guys try and beat you, but not those two.
Duquesne's 3-point shooting went into free fall after their torrid start.
It did.
They ended up going 8 of 24 from the game. The Billikens went for 57% from outside, 16 of 28. What did you think of I mean, I thought I think that start really affected the way people looked at the shooting. I think it's gone under the radar how well the Billikens shot.
Duquesne hit their first 4 threes and only hit 4 the rest of the game. If you had told me that, I wouldn't have been worried at all. And meanwhile, SLU hits twice as many, right? 16 of 28. That's a fantastic game from 3-point. You look up and down, everybody. Robbie's 5 of 7, Jones 2 of 5, Green 3 of 5, Brown 2 of 3. To pull out McCottry's 2, and you've got Sharma 2 of 3, Dunlap 2 of 3. So everybody has not just good but above average game for very, very good 3-point shooters, except McCottry. So you take that any day, Zach. You take that any day if everybody's shooting basically 2/3 from 3.
One of the reasons is why the shooting quality from the Billikens got overlooked was the inability of SLU to not only put away Duquesne, but not being able to put him away was a byproduct of not doing well on the glass.
Yes.
Duquesne stuck around in this game because they got second chances. You look up and, with the way the Billikens have shot the ball this season, one of the things I've started to become a habit is looking up at the shooting percentages on each side and kind of using that in relation to the score. And this game, it just didn't, the math wasn't mathing by that. That's when, there's a problem somewhere else. And in this one, it was the rebounding.
It's generally turnovers or offensive rebounds. And in this game, they had 11. It wasn't terrible, right? Like the last game we played, I think they had 17. And that was where it was like a 5-alarm fire, all of the offensive rebounds. So it was an improvement from that game. But there was that stretch during the second half where they really killed us on the glass to keep it close. I remember second chance points were 8-5 in SLU's favor. And offensive rebounds were 7-6. And then a few minutes later, second chance points were 12-8. So Duquesne all of a sudden got 7 of those during one little stretch where they got a bunch of offensive rebounds. So it was kind of that middle of the second half where you thought, all right, this is where we hit the gas and put them away. And we couldn't. We just let them hang around. But one thing that helps.
Hanging around.
One
Teddy
thing that
KGB in the house.
I know exactly who who you're trying to do there.
Trying to do, sir.
Trying. No, you're doing John Malkovich doing the craziest Russian accent of all time. But
it was a Russian woman. He learned it off of. Like an old Russian woman.
It was cartoonish.
It was awesome.
Slew shot extremely well from the free throw line, going 21 of 24, which felt like, honestly, a return to the form that we saw in non-conference play where they were one of the best free throw shooting teams in the country. It's just been a while since we've seen that version of them, Zach. But Schertz talked a lot in his post-game comments about how hard it is to win games, how hard it is to win a bunch of games in a row, and how hard it is to win by a big margin. He made reference, I don't know if you caught this, but
was it a direct shot at me?
I think it was at me, actually. He said he made reference to like all of the online chatter several times in his post-game comments. He even said something about people say we should win by 30. And he said that they've just never been competitive athletes before.
I think the people that are saying that are I think his assessment is correct. Either that or people are just being hyperbolic and fans.
So I will read you. He said this, and I was being positive as far as what I thought. But he said this about 5 minutes after I posted. Final Slew 91, Duquesne 76, 15-2 run to finish the game. Let the Dukes hang around way too long. Plenty to clean up before Loyola. Beat the Ramblers by 30 plus. Finish strong at George Mason for the regular season title and 1 seed. Like, that's what I tweeted out, right? It's kind of like all right, we got this. 2 more steps, boom. And
no, you're being an asshole. Don't try to hide.
5 minutes later, he tells Rammer and Earl, people think we got to win by 30, and it's really, really hard. They're not athletes. They don't know.
Yeah, so, you're not. We know that.
I've never been mistaken for one. But I don't think he actually would have checked his phone in between those comments. I just thought the timing was really funny that I had just like tweeted that out, and now I'm listening to
need someone to confirm whether that was a direct shot at you.
They never will.
They might. Let's find out. Let us know.
Yeah, we want
anonymous comment in the section. 21 straight wins at Schertz Arena. Another chance to extend that record to 22 on Wednesday. Try to finish off a perfect season at home. That would be crazy to me.
Yeah. I don't know. We have never done that in Schertz, obviously. I don't think we ever did that in the Scott Trades, Sabas.
Could not a single chance in hell.
I'll have to put out a question and see if somebody knows, because I'm not aware of one.
BK, if you're listening, tweet something out from the account, the men's basketball account. Next up, the Billikens will welcome Pete. Let's kick it around the A10. Presented by our friends over at 2 Men in a Garden.
Yeah, Zach, 2 Men in a Garden. I'm in a little bit of a hole right now. I haven't had their stuff lately, so I've got to do another order. Maybe I'll have people kind of give me some ideas, some suggestions. But in the meantime, my Aunt Helen, who listens to the show, who's been watching SLU games all season long.
You have a real aunt named Helen. Like, Aunt Helen sounds like the fakest aunt that left $1 million. It's like Aunt Birgit.
She's real, and she's the best, and she listens, and she's been watching SLU games all season long too. Like I was saying earlier, like, this team has gotten everybody on board. But she sent me a picture the other day of her 2 Men in a Garden, and she said it was, what was her words here? Delicious, and sent a smiley face licking his lips with the pickles. She said they're great. So we have a new convert. I can confirm she is a family member of mine. Big fan of 2 Men in a Garden. So you should check them out too. And go over to 2meninthegarden.com. Take advantage of our offer code MMP for free shipping, or check them out if you're in the St. Louis area, any major, or non-major grocery retailer. You'll be able to find them. 2meninthegarden.com for all your salsa and pickle needs.
Tuesday the 24th, George Washington 104, LaSalle 77. GW just running an absolutely depleted LaSalle squad out of the gym physically. I still like LaSalle. Wednesday, the 25th, St. Joe's 81, George Mason 63. And that is 4 straight losses for the Patriots and 5 of the last 6. And it is the opposite trend for St. Joe's, which currently has an inside track to the double bye. Who saw that coming? Nobody. Davidson beats Duquesne 67-56. Davidson could end up with a 5 seed if current trends hold. Thursday, the 26th, St. Bonaventure 94, Rhode Island 76. Rhode Island are a bunch of bums. I just don't understand, man. 94-76. Quad 3 loss for us. Awesome. Friday the 27th, Dayton 68, George Washington 66. There is no better situation to be in against GW than in a close game with a minute left. They will find a way to lose. There's no place than being, up to on anybody when you're Dayton at home at the end of the game. The 28th, I thought GW got fouled, by the way, on that last possession. Hot take. Saturday, the 28th, St. Joe 61, Rhode Island 55. Rhode Island has been terrible since they beat the Billikens. Of course, they have VCU 82, Fordham 63, Mason 71, Bonaventure 58, Loyola 69. Nice. Richmond 66, and that would lock in the Pillow Fighters for the A10 championship.
Probably not probably. Officially, but it sure looks like it. Yeah.
Sunday, March 1st, Davidson 71, LaSalle 64. Again, according to the Gola boys, LaSalle just ran out of gas in this one. The A10 standings as we enter the final week of the regular season in tiebreaker order.
Yeah, Zach. SLU obviously in first at 14-2, controlling our own destiny.
Yes. VCU 13-3, St. Joe's 11-5 alongside Dayton, George Mason at 10-6, Davidson at 9-7, Duquesne sitting at 500, 8-8, Fordham and GW 7-9, Rhode Island 6-10, Richmond 5-11, LaSalle and Bonaventure 4-12, and then Loyola just dragging the bottom of the conference at 3-13. It's Billikens looking a good spot. Remember, 1 is the magic number. Either a VCU loss on Tuesday. Who did they play? Is that Dayton?
They played Dayton last, I think. Who did they play before Dayton, though? I feel like I should know this because with a magic number of 1, you want to know. They finish against Dayton, and right before Dayton, they will host George Mason.
Got it.
So, yeah,
all right, that should be interesting. That should be interesting. Next up, the Billikens welcome in Loyola on Wednesday, March 4th. It'll be senior night for Avila, Brown, and Otieno. We're going to keep this update quick. Not a whole lot to say, Pete, about a team that's really that's the walking wounded over there.
Yeah, it's been a tough season, and we've already beaten them once just a few weeks ago. So since SLU,
Our Lady of Sister Jean, pray for us.
That's right. Since SLU won 86-59 on February 13th, Loyola lost at Fordham and at St. Joe's, and then beat Richmond at home. Despite being pretty banged up this season, like you said, Zach, they've gone with a 9-man rotation lately. Miles Rubin's the only guy who has scored in double digits multiple times in the past 3 games. He's done it twice. The team basically remains just him and everyone else, right? I don't know if their defense has stepped up lately, but all 3 teams they've played since SLU did not shoot well. They've all been low-scoring games. Fordham was below average. St. Joe's was barely below average, and Richmond was just terrible. They couldn't hit anything. And Loyola has struggled to guard the perimeter all season. So against SLU, they did a good job of forcing our shooters off the perimeter and letting Rubin contest at the rim. I think we kind of fell into that trap a lot in the first half before kind of figuring it out. But SLU's going to be favored by a lot. It's at home. They should win by a lot. Even if Coach Schertz says it's hard, I know it is, but we still should win by a lot in this game. They just can't get out to yet another slow start. If they avoid that, they're going to win by a lot. It's a really simple formula here. Loyola just doesn't have enough in the tank.
Let's Well, let's hope we win by 30 and get on to George Mason.
I need that vindication.
Pete, let's talk about this Mason game coming up Saturday, the 7th. It'll be the season finale for the Billikens. The Patriots spent a large portion of this conference season either tied in first or alone in second place behind the Billikens. But that has dramatically changed because, of course, it has. Fraud Mason, George Fraudson, they're frauds every year. They are now 10-6 in league play, just outside the double byline, and 22-7 overall.
Yeah, they just beat St. Bonaventure, who's terrible, to snap a 4-game losing skid. They've lost 5 of their last 7. And why is this happening? I honestly think it's just a team that isn't very deep. They were winning a lot of close games, and eventually they just ran into some less favorable matchups. They ran into some teams playing well, like Dayton. They had tricky road games, you know. I think they lost to Rhode Island too. Man. Yeah, right. And then the kind of things that just catch up with a team down the stretch when they lack depth. Star player Braden O'Connor, the guy with the frizzy red hair, he's been out with injury all year, and they finally made it official. He's out for the
season. No.
I know. He's going to get that red shirt. Going to get that red shirt.
Oh, good, good. We get to see him next year.
Yeah,
when
exactly.
Kim English is the head coach.
They should just swap coaches, Providence and George Mason. They actually look a lot like Dayton in the things that they do well, right? Like they don't turn it over, they don't foul, they get to the free throw line a ton. So on paper, they're a lot alike. They play at a really slow pace, but both ways. They don't shoot threes much relative to competition, just over 18 a game. But one difference between them and Dayton is they don't force many turnovers either. They're not trying to like press and trap and all that kind of stuff and turn you over. They just play a really slow, deliberate, conservative, defensive-minded style. Offensively, their production all comes from the top 5. Corey Mincy, Riley Allensbach, Jahari Long, and Jamari Hill all score between 10 and 15 a game. Allensbach's the big guy. He's like 6'11", really big frame. Masai Troutman averages 8.3 a game to round out the top 5. The next 5, all pretty anonymous guys. They score about 4 points a game. I don't know who the next Woody Newton is, Zach. I don't know who's hiding on the bench, who's going to come out and have a career night. But Mincy is the biggest three-point threat. Again, three-point shooting is not really their game. I look at this team and the way that they've been playing lately and who they are on paper, and I just don't see, yes, it's at their place. Yes, they're going to try and frustrate us as much as possible and kind of bait us into bad shots, right? But I just got to think that, we're trying to play for that all alone first place title in this game. We want to not just we want to lock up the 1 seed against Loyola, but now you're playing for pride. Now you're playing for that seed in the NCAA tournament. And so I think SLU is still going to be motivated enough that they should just be a little too much, even on the road at George Mason. I like us in this game, Zach. Maybe not by 30, but by 8 to 10, I think is kind of like a reasonable goal for a road game there. A win, yes, a win by any amount would be fine. But I think SLU is going to be a little too much for them.
Pete, let's talk a little bit about women's basketball because it really does feel that this season is just, dust in the wind, Pete. Dust in the wind.
Yeah, Zach. 82-64 was the loss against Duquesne on Wednesday the 25th. In their final home game of the season, the Bills laid an egg against a bottom 2 team in the conference, a team they'd already beaten on the road this season. Duquesne had a 14-0 run in the first quarter and kept the lead for the entire game. SLU actually got it to within 3 late in the second quarter, but they couldn't get any closer than that. The Bills shot 25.8% from the field, 17.2% from 3. Zaya Nugent led SLU with 19 points despite going 0 of 6 from outside. The Dukes actually did a really nice job on Alyssa Kirkenmeyer defensively, holding her to a very uncharacteristic 2 of 12 from the field. She still managed 12 points from the game because she got to the line a bit, but they were not letting her have anything easy. Jada Denis, like I said, was going to be the pronunciation on her last name, and now everyone's decided to do it. She scored 12, and Kira Brown chipped in 11. SLU won the turnover battle by 10. They had 7 fewer fouls than the Dukes. They had 22 offensive rebounds. They just could not shoot the ball. They couldn't finish, and they couldn't guard a team that normally sucks. This was their 9th loss in a row, and the next game was a much, much more difficult assignment, Zach, which they honestly handled a little bit better than expected.
Yeah, a 74-62 loss at Davidson on Saturday the 28th. 2 minutes and 49 seconds left in the game. The Billikens tied it and then took the lead on a pair of Mia Bergstrom free throws. Davidson finished that game on a 15-2 run over the last 2.5 minutes.
That's the exact same run that the SLU men finished the Duquesne game on the same night. Yeah.
Anyway, same weird. Time?
A few hours later, but
no, same time span.
Oh, same time frame. Pretty close. Actually, it was longer than the men's game, another minute or two.
Kirkenmeyer was fantastic, finishing with her 11th double-double of the season, tied for the league lead at 22 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 blocks. Alex Nelson was the other double-digit scorer with 13. The Billikens may have won the game if they had shot better from 3. They went 2 of 15, paging Ellie Pelusic. They were also -6 on rebounds, +7 on fouls, and +5 on turnovers. Some of those fouls were to slow the clock at the end. The losing streak has hit 10 entering the conference tournament. Next up will be the A-10 championship in Henrico, Virginia. SLU's the pillow fight for the first time under Rebecca Tillett, and it should truly be the last. The 11 seed Billikens will face 14 seed Fordham on Wednesday at 1:30 St. Louis time. Look, I'm just going to say, we should not be in the pillow fight in any season ever for either of these teams.
Ever.
Any team in the program. We should not be in the plot. Except there are sports where smaller. You get the idea. Yep. The Rams and the Bills split the season series. The rest of the bracket is as follows. Peter, take it away.
Yeah. So the double buys go to number 1 seed Rhode Island, who won the regular season title. Number 4 seed Davidson is also on their side of the bracket, and the number 2 and 3 seeds are George Mason and Richmond. I still think, for my money, Richmond is the best team. Just has a few games they'd like to have back. Rhode Island will take on the winner of 8 seed Loyola, 9 seed Bonaventure. The winner of 12 seed Duquesne and 13 seed VCU, the other pillow fight game, will take on 5 seed St. Joe's, and then that winner will go on to 4 seed Davidson. George Mason will take the winner of 7 seed Dayton and 10 seed George Washington. If SLU advances over Fordham, they will take on number 6 seed LaSalle, and then the winner of that gets Richmond. So that's a really that's a tough 2-game assignment right there, should SLU beat Richmond on Wednesday. But Zach, you're right. We just should never be in the pillow fight.
Let's talk a little baseball. The Base Billikens dropped a 17-7 decision at SIUE on Tuesday the 24th. Billikens jumped out to a 7-2 lead in the first inning, but the Cougars bounced back with 7-run third inning and kept going from there. This was really just a brutal game. The Billikens leadoff hitter, Crew Bond, led the Bills with 3 RBIs, but SIUE's leadoff hitter went 3 for 5 with 8 RBIs and 4 runs. So the Billikens did follow it up with a 3-1 win against Southern Indiana. On Wednesday the 25th, the Billikens' new head coach. They said it was new head coach, but it said interim in the tweet about the win.
It still says interim on the website too.
Okay. So Miles Miller gets his first win in the Billikens' home opener over the Screaming Eagles, tied 1-1 heading into the 7th inning. Tokyo Drift himself, Hank Gomerick, hit an RBI single to right center. Riley Ifrig singled to right to drive in Gomerick home for the insurance run. Caden Earring, Liam McKinney, and Max McGuire got combined for 9 quality innings on the mound. McKinney got the win. Max McGuire got the save. What?
Yeah. So according to Stu, McGuire, he pitched in high school. He hasn't really pitched for a couple of years, but coming into the season, they decided to kind of get his arm loose again, and he throws in the high 80s. He's a righty. But Josh Cunningham's out for the season with Tommy John surgery. They have another starter. Who was it? It's escaping me right now. Who's just rehabbing, and he'll be back soon. But their rotation has been just completely blown up. So so they wanted to anybody who's got an arm, they're bringing back. And McGuire in 3 appearances so far, Zach, he's actually he's got a save. He had one rough outing in his first one, but his last 2 have been really sharp.
Interesting.
So, yeah, good bullpen piece.
The season series sweep against Bellarmine. They won in 7 innings on Friday the 27th, 13-3. Cherico struck out a career-high 10 batters. Chase Beatty and Joe Canzioni homered. Saturday the 28th, they got a 6-4 win against Bellarmine. They got to a 6-1 run lead. Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Through the first 3 innings, but the Knights made things interesting late. Beatty homered twice, drove in 5 of Slew's 6 runs. That's 2 home runs in 2 games for Beatty. The other was off a solo shot from Matthew Arnold. An 8-0 win on Sunday the 1st. It's a sweep. McGuire and Canzioni homered, drove in 5 of Slew's 8 runs. Noah Andrunas threw 7 scoreless innings and was relieved by Trevor Jackson and Andrew Dumont to ice the shutout for the Bills. Next up will be Western Illinois on Tuesday the 3rd in a 3-game weekend series against Bradley starting on Friday. Pete, the soft Billikens. That sounds weird.
Yeah, Zach, and I had even spelled this phonetically for you just in case you got it. But at the Colonel Classic in Eastern Kentucky, they got out with a win 7-4 over Bradley on Friday the 27th. All 7 runs came in the top of the 7th inning, capped off by a 3-run homer from Scout Gallagher. So a clutch win here. Slew gave up 2 runs in the bottom of the inning, but they held on. The next day, later that day, Eastern Kentucky, they played the home school, lost 2-0. The host team held Slew to just 2 hits, and the Bills couldn't capitalize on a nice quality start from Isabel Royal. On Saturday, they started off with a 2-1 loss to Pitt. Anna Christ hit an RBI single in the bottom of the 1st, and Slew held on to the lead for a while, but gave up 1 in the 5th and 1 in the 6th to drop a close decision to the Panthers. And then game 2 on Saturday was against SIUE. They traveled down to Eastern Kentucky to play somebody who's right across the river, but it was an 8-3 loss. Slew had a 3-2 lead actually heading into the final inning when the Cougars put up 6 in the top half, and Slew couldn't respond. Christ had a strong game going until that final inning that got away from her. Abby Olsis led the offense with a 2-run double. Next up, they already start A-10 play, Zach, with the 3-game series at George Washington on the 7th and 8th. But Zach, track and field had the A-10 championships this weekend.
Yeah, they did. In Hampton, Virginia, Samuel Ma set a new A-10 championship meet record in the 400 with a meet winning time of 47.22. That's phenomenal. Tristan Boatman placed 3rd in the shot put at 15.73 meters. Griffin Kimbrell won the bronze in the pole vault, reaching 4.51 meters. Must have a hell of a time getting through security. Rhode Island won the men's competition, in which Slew placed 5th, and VCU won the women's side, where the Billikens came in 13th. Next up, the outdoor season will kick off March 20th at the Margaret Simpson Invitational at Murray State. Women's tennis, Pete.
Women's tennis had a 4-1 loss at SIUE on Friday. Slew's only point came at number 1 singles, where Emerson White won in straight sets. And then on Saturday, the 28th, out at Mac West, they beat Missouri State 4-0. Slew got the shutout after sweeping doubles. And then Emerson White, Madison Hill, and Naima Luthra got wins in singles. The matches for Fiorella Duran, Nicoli Ferreira, and Aaron Walker went unfinished. They were pretty much tied in 2 of those, and Walker was well on her way to winning. Next up, at Southern Indiana on March 6th, then they face Austin Peay in Nashville on the 7th. Men's tennis was off this week, and next up, they will also go to Southern Indiana and then Austin Peay in Nashville. Sunday, they'll also face Tennessee Tech down in Nashville. That's it for tennis this week, Zach.
Yeah, that's going to do it for everything this week. It was great. The Saturday game experience was amazing. It made up a little bit for Saturday, so a lot of fun had at Chaffetz Arena. See y'all next week. Roll Bills.
Roll Bills.